You likes? Hello, welcome to another episode of Hijinks Handlebars, an actual play kids on bikes tabletop live stream with QueueTimes.
Let's get through this together.
We believe
Our
it.
love
we
shall
believe.
fuel our success.
All right,
Yeah?
any second now.
Any
We're going to try it 4 more times.
Someone comes back in the room and they say, "Hey."
No, actually, it's just Kareem's frustrated vaping noise.
I wonder if someone could tell me. I'll see myself out.
I hear
for
someone.
this
I hear
holidays.
victory footsteps.
I
I hear
someone-
footsteps. Someone in the chat. Oh no!
Oh my god! Yay! We did it right the very first time.
I'm so mad we're doing gifts now because that's probably gonna be one. Hello. Okay.
I
alright.
think we did it.
Wait. I'm gonna do a new intro. So that when we put the VOD on YouTube, we can just trim the beginning and just start right here. So
Okay.
I hope. Or if not, we'll do 2 intros. But what's happening?
No,
Why are you back?
no.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
It's always been a bad thing.
Seeing Krug is always a bad thing.
God.
So, okay. Everybody ready?
Yep.
All right, chat, are you ready? I can't hear you! No,
Prepare yourselves, Chad. Prepare yourselves.
William.
Okay.
Quiet.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Hijinks and Handlebars, an actual play kids on bikes tabletop live stream with QueueTimes. If this is your first time joining us, then welcome. This would be super weird, maybe not a great place to start. We are doing a cast chat today, which basically we're going to be going through a bunch of questions or things that everybody wants us to talk about, and maybe that we want to talk about the first arc, and more specifically the second arc. We have done a cast chat previously that is on QueueTimes' main YouTube channel. It is in the playlist for Hijinks and Handlebars, which is just called Hijinks and Handlebars. It is called Cast Chat. So if you want to see us talk previously, you can check that out. But for now, let's be. We're getting a lot of hellos. Hi, I'm so happy.
Hi.
Yes.
Everyone.
We're
Everybody.
also so happy.
So happy.
Great,
We see right
yeah.
off the bat, looks like Tony, Kira, Regal Mercenary, thank you all for joining us so far.
I also see a Lasersaurus, a 7th Cut, and a
Yeah.
boss dog in the chat.
Wow, how interesting. So
Blue Hair Jonas
usually.
2020.
That's not
Blue
me.
Hair Jonas 2020. Now that's a
Mystery.
campaign
I
I'd be about.
swear to God,
Blue
it's
Hair
not me.
Jonas 2020.
Who
not
knows who that
me.
could possibly be?
People are going to think it's me now. It's really not.
This show is usually an actual play kids on bikes tabletop live stream, which follows several kids/teens as they go through dark and mysterious things going on in their small town of Bald, which is B-A-L-D. So far, they have found a magic dog named BB and encountered a shadow place called the Shadow Place. I didn't know I was going to say that. But to get us going, hello, I am William, they, them, and I am the GM, and today the host of this chat of Hijinks and Handlebars.
Hello, I am Jonas Newhouse, he, him, and I generally play the 13-year-old Derry Nazari, also he, him.
Hi, I'm Teddy Tedward Tank Thompson, and today I'll be playing Sam Richardson. It's a swap. You see, it's a
Yes,
swap
that is
on-
very good.
It's a swap in the normal.
I didn't understand what happened, and I was like, what?
No, yeah.
You all, I looked over, you were
Yeah.
all like
No, it'd be a
staring
great
at me.
swap if you took half as long as usual.
No, William.
Sam did it fast this time. We're all making it take. Well,
No,
we're
I didn't
making it
hear
take longer now.
pronouns. I didn't hear.
Okay.
I didn't hear your age.
Both he, him, and I am.
Don't say how old you are.
I am 46, and I just look great.
You heard it here.
And what's your favorite color?
Blue. That's not true. It's yellow. Like this.
Oh, why did I owe at that? Oh, favorite colors. Okay, cool.
Sorry, Franny.
Franny Morrison, Gertie Fox, both she, her, 14 going on 15.
Spencer LaBelle, Frankie Fox, he, him, Yay!
Yay! Whoa! Okay, so yes, I'm so glad you also get to see our pretty faces live. That's wonderful. It's so right now, currently, it looks like Kira's the only one still here.
Really?
No!
Oh, sweet.
No, everybody else is gone. Yeah, sound off in the.
Yes.
Call yourself out.
Roll call.
I'm gonna get some more people in chat.
It's time for confession.
we
If
got-
you're in the
okay,
chat,
Regal
confess your
Mercenaries
sins.
here.
Oh. Hello, Regal Merc.
Mercenary. Yeah, okay. So if anybody in the chat has any questions, feel free to pass them on, or things that you just want us to talk about. It can be plot related. It can be about our characters specifically, NPCs, anything like that. Just generally things that you've been curious about. It can even be like theories if you want us. If you want, probably not me. I can be here for it though. I'll keep a straight face. But if you want to see if any of the cast has theories about what's going on or things.
Well, I already know. I was gonna.
Oh
Yeah, well, you gave us the scripts for next season already, so.
No, not again.
Yeah, so I actually have some notes about
I
I
do
said you
have some-
can't. I said
there
you
were some
can't
grammar
ask.
issues.
Wait, hold on. You can't ask how the story ends, even though you've already done it, because I said on Twitter today, if you ask me that, I have to tell you, otherwise it's entrapment.
Ooh.
Well, they asked.
They did
it's-
ask.
How does it end?
Wait, William, are you a cop?
You have to.
I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop. Which means actually I don't have to answer how it ends. But it ends with a darkness.
Beep boop on.
I don't know what that is.
See,
Did you do
see,
anything? Don't
With
do
a
this.
face of black, the word Finn.
Here's the thing. I think William is trying to throw us off the scent. Why am I looking at the mic like it's a camera?
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
I'm sorry. This whole new setup has got me turned right around.
It's got you turned.
William is pretending that they mean that insincerely, when in fact they know exactly what they are doing and they are setting up. But the show really does end with
I
darkness.
do know how it ends, but nobody else does.
Well, okay, cool. Then I will pose a question since we're kind of talking around it. What sort of prep do you do as a DM for most sessions?
Okay, cool. That's good. I will get to this, and then Kira, if you're looking for a signal, it's this. This is your signal, and I'm doing it right now. So you have 7 questions.
Oh boy.
You have 7 questions. You turn my right around, baby, right around.
Oh god.
Spoiler
You
alert.
turn my right around.
Okay, wait.
baby.
Let's
Because,
keep.
That's-
because Sam said I'm turned right around.
I'm turned right around.
she's
What was the
doing
thought
that.
process in reasoning for Teddy's decision to impale Peach?
So why did you kill him?
Oh,
man?
God.
Okay, well, that's good. So we have 2 questions right now. Me, how do I prepare? And you, why kill Lil Pete?
Okay.
What was going through Teddy's head? So we'll start there, and then Kira, you can just start putting your questions. I did the thing too. I looked up at it like it was a camera.
distracting.
For now, we'll get used to it. Okay, so my prep for a GM. Basically, the way that I go into Hijinks and Handlebars episodes is my prep is to listen to the previous episode, and then show up.
So you do about twice as much as what I do, which
Yeah.
is I show up.
Yeah. I just make sure I have like, and then I go back and I re-listen to episodes periodically to see if there's anything we've forgotten about. Because of the way that I run this stream and the game, it's really easy for me to lose track of certain details. So I will go back and listen and take notes. But literally, like, I think with some other GMs at least, they will prep by typing out like what could or what is going to happen. What I do is I type out what has happened, so that if it comes up again or if someone does something that is related to something that has previously happened, then at least I have notes, or like I know where it's coming from. Or like, for example, a really good example is when we were in the woods and Derry asked Taryn Takahashi if she could call one of the bullies. Thank God in the moment I remembered you had her cell phone, because genuinely there was a point, if you watch the stream, like, where I realized what you're doing as a player, where you are setting up to have your own character be outed, and like, if I wasn't fresh up on that information and like really listening to you, that just gets completely lost. So like, that's how I do my prep for Hijinks and Handlebars. I just make sure I'm like really listening, and I go back and really re-listen to what we've done previously. So when I come in, I literally don't know what's going to happen on the episodes. I don't have notes about like beats we need to hit. I don't know where we're going to end. I don't know what the middle is going to be. I mean, genuinely, I just, if I have something in mind that could relate to something else, then I just do it in the moment. That's like how it works. And eventually when this entire thing gets over and like we're completely done, like whenever that's gonna be, like when Hijinks and Handlebars is like wrapped and we move on to the next thing, I will tell everybody. I'm gonna like release like, we'll do a stream where I just like go through and just say like everything that was made up, like out of like either excitement or like a disaster in my brain in the moment, because like there are things I think you would be shocked to find out were not supposed to be where they were, and somebody said something and I was like, yeah, yeah, you're right. That's what you find, like, or something like that. Yeah. So anyway. That's my prep.
Well, you mentioned not doing any prep except for all of the scripts that you give us at the beginning of each.
No,
I have a non-joke question. Sorry, out of the joke. No. Jokes are great. I love them. Sort of attached to that, William. Do you still do like tone/mood prep before coming into stream? Because there was like when we started, you would like we listen to a lot of podcasts at work. You and I both do. Do you still like? Are you like consciously listening to like certain toned podcasts to get in a certain mood?
Okay, thank you. I still do that. So if we left off on like kind of a sillier note, I will listen to Drunks and Dragons because they're very silly, or I'll listen to like Mabim Bam, which are like both podcasts. Drunks and Dragons is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. That's like they're very silly, they're very like non-formed, and also like kind of go off the cuff a lot of the time. But if we're doing something a little bit more like tonally, like if it ended off, like for example, when Teddy asked his parents, what would you do to get Andy back? I listened to a leftist news podcast the entire day, and all episodes about like things that I'm dreading. So when I came in, I was just like, that's my headspace. So that is like a version of prep that I do. But generally, if I want to be like loose and like having a good time, recently what has been awesome is the Dungeon Rats podcast, because they're all like improvisers in Chicago and stuff, and they're just so quick and so fast, and like they like to like pick on each other, and it's just it puts me in a good headspace. It makes me feel good. Okay, let's get to Teddy's question, and then we're gonna start knocking down Kira's questions.
Okay, so the question was...
Why'd you do it?
Why did I kill Little Pete? Well, okay, so first of all, there's no... Okay. Teddy believes that Little Pete is dead, because he did, like, pretty gruesomely stab him with a tree branch, and this is huge spoilers, by the way, if you haven't heard the end of the second arc.
Spoilers.
That will keep happening, too.
Yeah, sorry.
The last whole episode is. Also, tell us in the comments if you think that Little Pete is also dead.
So Sam the player is convinced that there's no way that Little Pete is dead. But, I mean, we'll have to see what happens in the third arc. So the reasoning behind that, I mean, part of it was sort of a...
You gotta be dead.
Part of it was sort of a spur of the moment kind of like decision to like get out of this situation somehow. That is sort of what I was trying to do in that scene, was like trying to figure out how to let the other kids get away. That's sort of like what Teddy was trying to figure out, because obviously they were buried next to the chest, but like the bullies were everywhere, and Teddy wasn't sure if they were going to be able to get away or not. So the answer is sort of twofold. One of the things that inspired that move is something that I had sort of been thinking that William might do, which is Little Pete has a power where he can convince people to do things. And I thought that William might use that power to try to get Teddy to come down from the tree. And so my thinking was one way down from the tree is jumping. So I had sort of already been thinking like, oh, if William tries this, like this might be a way for Teddy to go along with something that that little Pete is asking him to do, and thus fulfill that portion of it, but also sort of allow his friends to get away, which was sort of Teddy's like motivation for trying anything at all. The other thing is this last arc, and especially towards the end of it, I think Teddy has been using his flight role and his ability to get away from situations and run really quickly, more in like I don't even know how to say it, like more in like a way that tries to help his friends rather than instantly running away from
something
the
he's
problem.
scared of or something.
Yeah, so like it's even like he chased after little Pete at the end of one of the episodes. So that was sort of me trying to use that same skill set that Teddy has in a different emotional direction. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that answers the question.
I think so.
It's also kind of like how you have like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You also have Teddy Tedward Tank Thompson's hierarchy of powers, where stick beats mind power.
Right. Yes. I also honestly also just sounded fucking cool, and I was like, let's if the dice lined up correctly, I was like, yeah, let's.
I will say that it was well worth it just to, as a GM, feel that moment of you stopping me to tell me you have tough, because I did not remember. So when you fell out of the tree, and I was like, you're gonna be unconscious because you just jumped out of a frickin' tree, and you're just like, accept, and I was like, what? Which is like, you did that with intuitive earlier to me. Yeah. The first time you pulled out, and you're like, I haven't used this yet, but I'm intuitive, and I was like. So it's funny that actually that segues really good into Kira's first question that I would like to start on. If anybody has any qualms with that, are we good?
Well, I would just tag on that I think it's very interesting, and I think part of what made the finale very kind of, I think, engaging for at least me as a player, probably all of us, is I felt like we found ourselves way in over our heads. Yeah. Very backed in our corners, So, like, I feel in terms of what were we all thinking in that head is like, shit, what cards do we have left to play? We have to do something drastic here.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely felt like that's one of the episodes where all of the kids were in the most danger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Because previously we had Frankie experiencing danger, like with especially the first meeting with the Crolum, when it was still the Crotum, because like I think I genuinely, there was like a moment where something for sure was going to happen to you, but then we rolled so close together, and it was such a minimal fail from you. But the narration of the situation...
You, like, slashed my tires as I was...
Yeah, I slashed your tires.
Yeah,
I'm talking about when you tried to run into the house and the Crotum, like, you failed your flight against its fight or something like that. And my thoughts were, you only failed it by, like, 1. And right now, the way the narration is going, any move by the Crotum would probably kill you. So in that moment, like in the back of my head, I was setting up what your father was doing, and I knew he had grabbed an axe, and I knew there were 2 things I was going to have him do depending on what you ended up doing, and that was like where it was going. So I was like, now makes as much sense as any, because that wasn't like, that's not like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, because I mean, like we vigorously set it up. Yeah. It was like it's not like Marcus comes out of nowhere. It's like, no, Marcus was involved in the initiation of this combat, of this encounter.
We deliberately created that opening.
So honestly, because I think you failed by 1.
We established that Chekhov's axe.
Yeah, I think you failed by 1, and that's why I was like, Marcus saves your life, but it injures your dad. Like that was the trade-off. Like, you are going to get saved right now. It's going to be from Marcus, which makes sense narratively and with the scene and everything I was setting up. and it just has to have some kind of like a consequence, which was like we broke your dad's leg, and then like you healed it with BB, which you shouldn't have been able to do because that's not your power. But
it's funny because in that moment, like player Spencer, I just want to comment. That feels so long ago. So now that we're talking about it, it's like I almost forget that's the same art.
Yeah.
That was
It almost
like
feels like
2 months
if
ago,
this were
right?
like
Yeah.
a television, that would have been like the mid-season, like you know.
Yeah.
So Kira says, I remember when I thought that was the most stressful episode.
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
It's funny because like at that point, like I was like, oh hey, we're not gonna die. This won't kill us. So let me just make it slightly worse. BB, do it, you know. And I thought, as player Spencer was expecting it to cause pain and some mild chaos.
Yeah, but then it accidentally worked, and then that's how we got the golden calf.
That's
Title
right.
of that episode.
Well, so first question from Kira, we have is William. What is something you hope to do with the story in the future? It doesn't have to be specific, just in general. I'm really glad you asked this question because I have a very
Hunt
specific.
for Santa X.
I have a very well, that is something that will eventually happen. I want you to know. I know exactly.
Of course.
I know exactly how that's going to start.
Cool.
Not for a while.
Aww.
I know. Sorry, but this is this won't be like plot related necessarily, but something as a GM more specifically that I've been wanting to do with the series is really take in what my players are good at, like what their characters are good at, and like cater more to like the segments of their strengths that I haven't been, which most specifically is related to Gertie. All right, I won't. I won't. To Gertie, because I know you have a D20 in Charm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess I'll announce this here. Most of the third arc will be non-combat related.
Cool.
So
That's great.
Well,
Well,
we've
my
got-
brain's a D20.
We've got Izawa to deal with.
Yeah. I think a lot. I'm setting up things internally, just like I'm not like plotting points. I'm just knowing how I want to run this next arc. That will hopefully lean more towards like working your way out of something, like actually using your brain, like actually like we're not just gonna roll flight and fight and brawn and grit. Well, you can probably still figure out a way to use grit.
Street smarts.
And Jonas will figure out a way to use his
Brains?
+2.
I have to become high school class
What's the thing
president.
you always try to-
Protective?
Protective,
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah, but that kind of a thing. There are things that we've never touched on that I like really, really need to do. Everybody knows it's protective. Like Gertie is skilled at puzzles, and we haven't had a chance to really do that. I gave you one chance in the series, and it never happened. This is a long time ago when Declan couldn't get into his tablet. You could have used skilled at puzzles to open it up.
Oh, but isn't that more like a tech thing, like a tech-savvy thing?
Yeah, but it was like
Or a puzzle.
It was like it was like the code. It was like a thing that he couldn't remember. That was like it's a nothing. It doesn't matter. But there will be more. That's what I want to focus on.
Until we get locked in the sub-dimension pocket within the shadow place that's essentially like the puzzle cube that we're trapped inside.
You mean the one that's for sure definitely inside of that locker in the woods?
There's definitely a
chest?
pocket dimension
Yeah.
inside that chest. 100% pocket dimension.
It goes to low roll.
I didn't think that until this moment, but now I think there's a pocket dimension inside that chest. There's a pocket dimension inside that chest.
In the 0 session, we had someone say, they were like, what do we think the chest is? And someone was like, oh, it's like, that's a door to like a different dimension or something. Like somebody said that in the 0 session. And I think somebody else said it was like a door to like an underground like bunker or something.
I think that was me.
I think it's empty.
It's
It's
Can you
empty
imagine?
and it's just a
Wait,
nihilistic.
Kira thinks it's a monster's locker. You think it's empty?
I actually think it is like a physical like passage to something, but I also think it's empty.
I think it was the magician, whose initials are CJ, was going to do, for my next trick, I will hide this chest. I will make it vanish and unlock it from the inside. And then there's just a
mummified corpse
inside the chest.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a coffin.
Wait, but I thought it's not that big. It's like,
No, it's not.
How big is it? That's a small coffin.
It's like a chest.
Short people can be wizards too.
It's true.
Listen, Franny, my character is canonically dead. So
True.
That's true.
We have a zombie in a party.
That's a
You're a token undead teammate.
Mondo
Yeah.
spoilers, but yeah.
yeah,
If you
super
haven't,
huge spoilers, by the way.
the greatest treasure is the journey, not the contents. Thank you.
No,
Nightbot
it's
chatted
fine.
for questions tonight, Nightbot, so please stop plugging your own stuff, okay?
Yeah, Nightbot, come on.
There's a dead squirrel.
I read there was a dead Squirtle, and I was like, yes.
No, I'll never do that.
Pokemon are real. That's the secret.
Okay, so let's move on to
Let's
the next
move on.
question. And this one, I would like to start with. I was about to say Gertie, but yeah, Franny. Players, what do you hope for your characters in the story moving forward? So let's start with Franny. What do you hope for Gertie in the future?
Well, immediately, I don't know for sure, but I want over time for Gertie to just really sink into herself as a person. I know she's already pretty independent and fiery and fierce, but I want there to be, I don't know, I want some sophistication added to her character.
Get a little bit more like your English bird, like your.
Yeah, it's a little more seasoned. I am really excited. I hope we go long enough so that I can lower her voice a bit. Just to make her, again. I guess, yeah, these are all kind of personalities.
Date Harini.
I mean,
Or Declan.
Or Declan.
Or both.
Or both.
Both.
You know,
We're-
polyamorous, man. Like,
Non-monogamy. It's great. What are
Good question.
what are Gertie's true feelings for Harini? Yeah, let's just.
Can you knock that one out real quick?
I mean, I adore her. I'm infatuated with her. Gertie is too, but
Swish. We got a swish over here.
yeah, no, I think
Kiss somebody.
yeah, I think Gertie's really infatuated.
Also, we have to hashtag Gertini.
Gertini.
I heard you call it.
Gertini's pretty
Hashtag
good.
Gertini
It
is
sounds
pretty
like
solid.
a drink.
It does.
Gertlin.
Sounds like Dratini to me.
I'll
Anyway.
take a Gertini dry.
One drink. Continue.
I'll take a
Just
Gertini
little
wet,
olive,
please.
Really? Okay. Okay. I will say this. I'll say that I think Gertie's feelings for Harini are more in that dream, like putting someone up on a pedestal. So it's more of an idea that she really kind of likes. Whereas I think her relationship with Declan it's so sweet.
It's
Yeah.
really cute.
It is very cute.
And they've had some really nice moments together that I think are what's the word I'm looking for?
They're a little more
Just
rooted.
Roots are forming with them. I mean, I'm not opposed to if some romantic things were to happen for either of those, that would be great.
Get the girl, Declan.
Yeah.
I think part of that might be because I was talking to Tanamato about this. Our friend Chris, who does the art for the overlay and everything. Also,
So fucking
yeah,
good.
sorry.
We've never
So
mentioned this
fucking
before.
good.
Thanks, Tanamato. Thanks, Hunters Entertainment. Thanks, QueueTimes. Thanks, Crew. Thanks, Indigo.
That was sincere. That was more sincere. Thank you.
Thank you, whatever.
Thank you, this.
We appreciate
You're literally
it.
like tossing them away.
Thanks to our audience, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching or whatever.
But I was talking to Chris about like kind of the final episodes and about the relationship between you and Declan and the relationship between you and Harini. And Chris said that he's actually really interested because he felt like it was the last episode was the first time we got a really good look at like Harini as like a three-dimensional character.
I agree with that.
Whereas like Declan, I mean like Harini was like a legend, like a myth beforehand. We were just getting that like aspect of like she's polite and I love her.
Yeah.
From both of the foxes.
She is as beautiful and she
Declan,
is kind, and she will be mine.
And Declan has had a lot more interaction, a lot more time to integrate himself into the main party and be invested in everything that you are all doing. So now that Harini is in on it, I'm also interested to see where that goes. Yeah. But cool.
Cool.
Just like a more, so yeah, to answer the question as a whole, what do I hope for my character in the story moving forward? Just to kind of settle into her own person. I was thinking of like different relationship with Frankie, I think is only gonna get better. I already love her relationship with her parents.
Tested this arc, I think.
Yeah, I got all tested.
Which was interesting because the first arc they were really the only people who understood what was going on and were like on board with it, and like the second arc, it seemed like there was a lot more like actual tension between.
But it's not a bad thing.
No. A lot of it driven by Teddy, which.
I guess that's my answer.
Cool.
Cool. What am I hoping to get out of Frankie in the future? Frankie's still so young, and I saw one of your other questions was how have they changed thus far, So really playing Frankie has been a long string of discoveries, and like kind of like you're saying, you say something and it's like, well, that just got said. All right, rolling with it.
Yeah, I guess that's how my character feels.
And I think I talked a little about this in the first cast chat for Arc 1, how in the first couple of sessions, I had no idea how to roleplay a 10-year-old, so it was just very impulsive and trying to keep things external. And I think as Frankie has developed thus far, it's been discovering Frankie a little more as a person and watching Frankie mature and how Frankie will continue to mature as a person and how that will be interesting. No, we're kidding. Frankie will never mature. This is Frankie. Frankie's already pretty smart. He knows better.
He's gonna become a lawyer. Not more mature, but a lawyer.
He would be
Frankie's
like
a
a person who like got
baby
through to
footsteps.
law school and like just like got perfect scores on their LSATs and whatever, but then I'm just like, wait a second, being a lawyer is like a sucky job. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna go like carve sculptures of dolphins and surf.
Carve sculptures of dolphins and surf?
Final answer: carve sculptures of dolphins and surf.
Great. Cool. Derry.
Yeah. I am interested in seeing Derry start kind of moving towards his own strengths more, because I like intentionally built Derry as a character where like his dice were distributed in a way that was counter to his decision making. Mm-hmm. So like he's a character who wants to go in fighting everything, but I think literally my fight is a D4 or a D6 at most. D4 might be brawn, but so like I wanted to play like someone who is just like wants to do one thing, is better at others. Mm-hmm. And like in the this last arc and like latter half, I've started like finding reasons to roll brains more, a lot of which have been computer oriented, which as Derry playing Derry as someone who comes from a very wealthy family and may have access to like actual computer things, I think that is a very like reasonable direction to move Derry in, is like actually investing in like computer based skills. So that's something I am interested in, like specifically, I guess. And generally, I don't know. I think maybe like maybe less impulsive, but I kind of like always playing impulsive characters. And I don't think I ever want to stop playing him as somebody who will put himself in dangerous situations, because that's fun to play and also just makes sense for
which is really funny for the system, because I mean if you've never played Kids on Bikes, play it. It's very fun if you have access to it or anything like that. But the combat system for Kids on Bikes is supposed to be really like dangerous. And the way, I mean, like, I play it a little different than it's supposed to be played. But there's a section of the book that says change the rules however you want to be more fun for your group. So we're technically playing it rules as written. But it's funny to play a character who wants to fight but is bad at it, because that will, like in any other true to form run game of kids on bikes, that will get you killed immediately. Like that's like Hyper RPG just started up their kids on bikes campaign like a month and a half ago or something like that. And in the first episode, somebody like does something and they fail by like 9 or 10 like degrees, and like the GM says, like, just so you know, it's like within the first 15 minutes of their first stream, and the GM is like, you will die if you do not spend a diversity token right now. Like, you are going to die, which is like, holy crap, which is a completely different way to play the game than what we're doing, which is a cool thing to see. I mean, like, yeah, there are a bunch of different ways to play the same game, and that's awesome. But yeah, also, I would love to see if I can get you more computer-based stuff to learn.
Yeah. We also, like, we established with the last, like, side story thing, I guess, that we did with Poisel, a computer lab in the school that their character used a lot. That's right. And, like, I think Derry's going to start using that computer lab, starting with very little information, but, like, probably next time we're at school, he's going to be going in there and just, trying to figure shit out.
With that obviously being set up of having this possible trajectory of using the computer lab more, William, what are your plans on using Orwell as an NPC?
Oh God, please! I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I think Poisel probably won't see this because they're very busy doing other streams and things like that that you should check out because they're great. But given how the last one shot went, I think Orwell's probably gonna be a main NPC in the next arc. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, just because they're so significant to how Izawa's going to be running things now.
Sure.
Which is also interesting because it's completely changed the way I think about Izawa. Yeah, so I think they will be very integrated, and I'm excited to use Orwell because that character's really interesting. I do want to just like hit on a few things. I just want before we get to Teddy. Yes, it makes us very happy that we can talk to you too. It's been again always wonderful to see your comments and everything.
I'm glad we've seen them live now.
Yeah,
it's warming my heart.
Someone did say that Frankie's fears played are so well played and very believable. He's all fun, but he's still just a kid with fears. To that, someone said Frankie's shards of maturity and fear break my heart. I know their names. It's Regal Mercenary and Kira are saying this. The Regal Mercenary said, "Love Baba Vahid," by the way. Thank you.
Don't we all?
Vahid. And then Kira again said it's like they are teenagers or something and finding themselves. Yeah, it's almost like that, isn't it?
It's like, almost. I can kind of just to respond to your comments on having those like. Frankie is very much like a very fearless archetype. So, and like Spencer as a player, being able to like really try to dive as deep as I can in playing those fears those are the experiences I find very gratifying as a player.
We didn't see that much of Frankie being like emotional in the first arc, and I feel like we've really like dug into that in the second arc of Frankie being like traumatized by the shit that's going. Like Frankie fucking fought a monster on his own.
Yeah.
And that has consequences.
And he had flashbacks while he was retreating.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll say this now. I was already thinking about it. Frankie's probably going to ask parents if we can get BB trained and registered as a service dog.
Cool.
Good idea.
That's if BB's still alive.
Oh yeah.
Why would you say that?
The last episode of Arc 2, BB collapsed unconscious because I told you something bad was going to happen if her powers were used again.
We're going to have to spend Arc 3 dealing with the loss of our psychic dog.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Gertie's lost.
Oh, did Gertie do it?
Dog.
Was it Gertie?
Yeah, it was Gertie, but that's okay. Gertie didn't know. I told the rest of you.
Gertie killed BB. Gertie killed BB. Gertie killed BB.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, Teddy.
So I think
You're gonna play him as a zombie now.
I'm getting a lot of no. oh god, BB William, no. Okay, keep going.
The thing I'm most interested to like see where Teddy goes is like, I'm very curious to see Teddy move past the death of his sister. Eventually. I don't think that he is in a place right now that he can do that or is is good at doing that. But that's something like a lot of the second arc was Teddy being like, well, there's a place that can bring people back from the dead, and I know someone close to me who's dead.
Yeah.
So, like, how do I make this work? And that's something, I mean, like again, like we talked about it a little bit, we talked about it a lot.
Yeah, we did.
After the episode where, I think it's called 10 Feet Down, or 10 Feet, 10 feet under,
yeah.
I can't remember exactly what the episode
10
title
feet
is.
under, 20 feet further.
Something,
10
yeah, I
feet
think it
under, 20
is,
feet
yeah. We, as a cast, had a discussion about, like, where that was going and how dark it was, and we all essentially came to the conclusion that if the stream is like that every week, that it's not a sustainable emotional model for all of us. Because I know, I don't want to speak for the rest of you, but I walked out of that particular episode feeling like, holy shit, like...
Yeah.
that it was a lot to take in, and a lot to kind of put on the rest of you.
Love to go there, hate to stay there.
Yeah, I think that's a very good mantra. So the thing that I'm really most interested in is like the way that Teddy is learning to move past that. The way that Teddy is kind of like relying more on his friends and trying to have a closer relationship with his dad's, because I think there was sort of a lot of that he lost after Andelin died, and so like kind of like rebuilding those relationships a little bit, and so I'm like, I would be super curious to see what Teddy is like once he has dealt with that trauma.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
And I do want to piggyback a little bit off of you talking about when we went like very, 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 very dark.
Yeah.
And Kira says, let's hope there's not an opportunity for him to get any darker. He needs to stay pure, small being. I might actually use that love to go there, hate to stay there. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So is that the cast chat title right there?
I think the title is
Hijinks Handlebars. Love to go there, hate to stay there.
But what I want to say was I think that I think we spent as much time there as we could have, and I personally really liked it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was very much into, like, the point that we got to. Mm-hmm. If we had not had the conversation we had after that episode, it would have gone too far.
Yes.
And that's just, like, a thing for games at home. Even if you're not streaming, you have to be comfortable with your players and with your GM to say, hey, this is really taxing, I'm not having as much fun, or like something like that, can we please change something? Mm-hmm. Because it can't be a thing of like someone keeping it inside because they're afraid someone at the table is going to get upset. You can't be that precious with your ideas. Like, even if I, as a GM, really loved the place that we were going, I mean, if the rest of the players were clearly uncomfortable with it, I would immediately change. Like, the next episode would have opened with you hunting for Santa X. It's just, it's not worth it to do that kind of thing, even for a stream, even for a podcast or anything. It is not worth it to put yourselves in a position where it feels dreadful to come on and do the stream in order to just like get the story that you want to tell, because that's like, you shouldn't want to tell your story. You should want to tell everybody's story. The story of everyone at the table, because that's what's the most important. So that I'm also excited to see where we go from here. It's also very excited to have you and your dads on the same page.
Yeah.
That was one thing I knew a long time ago.
Yeah, William, after the finale episode, they were like, yeah, I've known that Teddy was dead since when did you after
Since we
episode
started,
1?
right?
After the I was having the idea after the zero session when the chest was brought up. I was making. I was having a bunch of ideas and but session 1 solidified it. By the middle of session 1, I knew Teddy was dead.
Which is to pull back the curtain a little bit, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea
But
that's where that was going.
Which raises so many questions
Oh my
for Arc
God,
3 to
yeah.
be kicked off on.
But I did, and this is also important if you're planning on doing something. I mean, especially if this is a home campaign, talk to your players even more than what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 weeks ago-ish or something, I grabbed Sam aside in our apartment and was like, hey, there's something that almost came up, and I think it might come up soon. It pertains to your character and is pretty serious, just so you know that's coming up.
Yeah.
That's on the horizon, that kind of a thing. Because that's, I feel like that's, people can sit there and be like, oh, that's where you get the real, I want to make my players cry. And it's that's cool. But guess what? If your players know what's going on, they'll probably still cry.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. It just happens. Okay, so why don't we let's burn through a little bit if we can. Okay. So let's go to question 3. Everyone, what is your favorite episode of the series so far? Okay, we're gonna say the finale of Arc 2. Now, what's your second favorite?
I don't know that's my favorite.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is though. So everyone else go first. But I liked it a lot. But I feel like everyone but me is on the same page with that being the best or most enjoyable so far. I'm not sure.
I'll put a flag on, since we mentioned it, the golden calf. Since and because we started it off on such an intense cliffhanger that I think there's because I don't remember who said it, but at one point it was somebody said you were talking to Franny and you're just I don't know what I'm gonna do when I have to kill Frankie next session. In terms of conversations behind the screen. And then just such a wild turn that it was a very real possibility that Frankie was gonna die right there, and it was just such a string. I think Frankie is actually just a very lucky character. It's weird. We all play a lot of games. Yeah. Frankie rolls really well when it's really important.
Yes,
which is weird because I have the lucky strength. Mm-hmm. But Frankie's just a lucky character. What was I gonna say? But so it's also and we had so it's immediately a devastating blow to this monstrous creature, which completely blew out the tension, and we were joking about it, the Crowlam's got a young rookie Crowlam partner, a wife and Crowlam kids.
That's right. It's a running joke.
But then and then that episode finding the bullies' bodies in the woods as the next major plot point, and also having such a significant gravitas to it, and then hitting and being and then boom, what?
Yeah.
So I think that was had a lot of ups and downs as a story episode.
I do. The episode where you all found the bodies might be my favorite, next to the Arc 2 one. That was a big shock for me. Great, cool. Someone said getting Taryn out of jail. I don't know if that was in relation to what your favorite episode was, Regal Mercenary, but if it was, I also really liked I like generally what Derry is doing with Taryn. I think that's.
I do too. It's
no, he will live forever. He will never die. That's
Teddy, more like Daddy.
Yeah, I wanted to call that out too.
God.
Yeah.
I think if not. I mean, that had a lot of my favorite moments in it too, what Spencer was just mentioning. I think the episode where almost everyone was playing D&D, which was a recent episode.
Yeah.
Was also one of my favorites, and I don't even remember what I was doing during that time. Was that when I was getting taken out of jail? Or was
I have
it?
no idea.
I don't know.
I think
Was
it was
it?
the same episode.
I think maybe it was. Yeah, so that might be one of my favorites.
the chat will
but
tell us.
I also thinking back on like when I felt the best, it was the times when all of us were together.
Yes.
Which like really goes back to like episodes 1 and 2, and especially the first one, but also I think beginning of arc 2, was that when or maybe it was the end of arc 1, right after BB took the picture. The episode after that, we were all like trying to figure out what to do about that, and like,
right. That was, like,
we
the
had to
middle
talk
of
and
arc
figure
1,
out
I
how
think.
we were gonna but like to figure out how we were gonna like move forward with this, and like who we were gonna tell, and what we were gonna like share with each other and stuff, and like that felt like a very good like formative moment for our group, like for these 4 characters.
And like a common shared bonding experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked that, and also us being all pulled into the shadow place together, which I think was connected to the D&D episode.
The subway.
So,
the subway
so that
sandwich.
like I can't place it into episodes, but like those are some of my favorite like moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, the D&D thing. Teddy and Derry were at Stool looking for Gert.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
At Stool.
That's right.
Anyway.
Yes, thank
Arc
you.
3, Frankie for president.
I think for me it was probably the one that sticks out to me the most. I think is probably still the end of arc 1. That final resolving moment where we were all in the clinic. And then, like, BB was there, and William, the very last thing on the episode was, like, the pull out, and then...
BB barks and the light breaks ahead of
and, like, there was something so... that, like, felt so good about that moment, and felt so much like... This is this show. Like, this is what this show is at its heart, is, like, these kids, like...
Different school.
Like,
it's okay.
Dealing with...
Baldwin's in elementary. Frank is running for high school president.
Well... Baldwin's gonna be mayor someday.
Baldwin's gonna take over the town.
Soon.
After his father.
Oh no! Father, may I have your job?
Baldwin is the kind of that if this were like a Shakespearean play, Baldwin would like be the doting child on his sickly father while simultaneously poisoning them.
Yeah, true. No, but like there was something very genuine about like that moment of connection at the end of arc 1 where we were all together and we were all like sort of moving in the same direction, and like Teddy told Gertie, Teddy,
Do I have you there? I can't wait. I cannot wait to pull Baldwin out myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have your vote?
that voice was so fun.
What's your Cynthia? It's just Taryn.
It's hard. It's hard.
But like there was something so great about like that moment when they're all when all of the characters were together, and especially like Teddy's moment of telling Gertie like, as long as you trust BB, I trust you. Like that felt really good as a player to do.
Yeah.
And then in the second arc, it immediately went the other way. But I don't know, that episode like rings true to me.
I do remember. Aside from the arc finale, the second arc finale, which is my favorite right now, just because it had like a great combination of comedy and like drama and like
probably our
tense.
best, but,
Like it was intense. I love the episode where you start being carried away by the Subway sandwiches because I got to pull you all back together, and there was a mechanical thing about it. I didn't just decide to do it. And I can explain that at some point. Well, I'll explain it right now. Yeah, okay, so the episode before, Frankie had BB roll a d20 in the treehouse. BB rolled a d20 and got a natural 20. And then Declan was like, can you do it again? And Frankie was like, yeah. Rolled it. And the mechanic for BB's powers is they roll a d20. And if they roll an 11 or higher, BB uses the power that they want BB to use. But if they roll below that, then I roll a die that divvies out the rest of the powers, and whatever I roll, that's the power that BB uses. So it is like truly random, and I ended up rolling a teleport, but it exploded. So to me, I was like, okay, the teleport exploded, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I saw the little skull on my dice, and I was like, that's interesting. So I was like, well, who's going to teleport? And I was like, wait, a better question is, how many of them are going to teleport?
Which I said when...
So-
yeah.
so then
Jonas
I-
totally called it.
Yep.
So then I rolled to see how many of them teleported, and it exploded. And I rolled it again, and it exploded. And then I had to just end that episode. That's why that episode has such a weird, like, non-cliffhanger ending, where I'm just like, I need to end the stream. Because, like, I had an idea. I knew where I was going to take you, and I knew what was going to happen, but I just, like, needed, like, a moment to, like, get myself back into it. And I knew it was going to take a little bit of time, and we were running out. So I was like, it's time to be done. And, yeah, so... The next episode, when I brought you all on Subway sandwiches, which all of you ended up there because of your grit checks and like stuff. So that also was like, it wasn't. I mean, Marcus and Declan both didn't make it.
Well, Declan says in that next episode, he's like, I felt like I was being pulled away by a Subway sandwich or something like that.
Yeah, it's Declan. Declan. Also,
Yes.
Harini is Harini.
Yes.
Don't ask me to spell anybody else's.
You can ask me, I probably know them.
The only reason I know those is because Franny wrote them. Franny made those characters, by the way.
Yeah. Two of honestly the best characters on the stream.
Yeah, and
Fucking
a
love
long
them.
time ago, Regal Mercenary, which I know who you are now, which is funny. I didn't know who you were until right now, but
We've been asking.
he made Izawa. And you're welcome for using Izawa, but thank you for giving me Izawa because it's been really great figuring out how I was going to use him, and being the first character that someone drew up for us and gave me all of the statistics and stuff. It was great. And I know we didn't know who you were till now. For some reason it didn't like really click until right now.
Speaking of which, if you drop characters and send them to us, like either on Twitter or Instagram or wherever, they might end up on the show. Like that's how Izawa got on the show. So it is not guaranteed, but we always, we would love to
And
have
Izawa
people.
got their own episode.
Yeah.
And that worked because we're not just like trying to like, a fan made this, let's ham-fist it in there. There is a very organic narrative way to include that character, you know?
We're tempting you.
Also, not to say like in the future or like the near future we're gonna like blow up and be really popular, but if you create a character now, it is more likely that they will end up being a main cast than like in the future. If eventually
After we blow up.
after
After we literally explode. We'll all roll d20s, and then this entire room
No,
just
sorry.
flames.
If you would know that when the die hits when we hit the most, we don't literally
When the die
explode.
maximum face, boom.
Anyway, favorite episode.
I'll do mine really quick. I want to do 3. So first
Okay.
one is the second arc finale. Just because everyone was in, all the characters, all the good, awesome NPCs were in it as well.
Why?
Franny's talking.
It's a 17.
It's a 17. Okay.
You're saying all the characters were like doing firing on all cylinders?
Yes. And it was just. We've all said everything about that one. There was, good comedy, lighting. Sorry, I'm like all flustered now. I can't.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Second one would be the Treehouse episode where Declan and Gritty and Marcus and everyone, they were playing D&D. That was really fun. And then third one I have to mention is, because I just watched it today, the one with you three getting arrested.
I want to.
Oh my god!
The game getting into trouble. So much fun.
And I also have to say, and one of the comments on that video on YouTube was saying they didn't believe that Gertie and Frankie could be siblings because, they were too nice to each other. And I have to disagree with that. Because this is one of the reasons I love how close Gertie and Frankie are. And quite frankly, I have a twin brother who is, my best friend. So it's like, It can happen.
Siblings are like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Funny joke though.
And I have a twin sister who I'm close with.
So
Yeah.
and it's like, and I just loved in that episode how just you could just see Gertie's concern for her brother the entire time.
Also, one of my favorite Gertie moments, and also type in the chat what your favorite Gertie moment was. Gertie on the warpath, just giving poor Officer Bing the like full knives, you know, give me back my brother now. That was, I was just like, oh my god.
You were like, you got to talk faster. Also, Night Glimmer, thank you for tuning in New York.
Oh, thank
East
you.
Coast. It's like what?
It's like
4
what?
a.m.
It's like
there.
super
11:30.
11:30. Okay, but thank you, and we miss you as well. We'll have to play again soon. Gertie getting grounded. Yeah, that is the one thing that is difficult playing the Fox parents, because I've instilled in both of you an immense independence that has caused you to be kind of brats at times. Like if I actually try to do some sort of confrontational parenting, but yeah.
Well, which is
Gertie in the library, hashtag favorite Gertie moments. Yeah, actually I like that too a lot. Anytime Gertie gets red in the face and flustered.
yeah.
Gertie, when what was the first time that Derry and Teddy were like, oh, Gertie, are you dating Harini? And then your whole thing of like, what? No, oh, what?
That was actually
perfect.
real. I feel like you had a moment like that where you like explicitly said, "Are you dating?" That was like just an episode or two ago. That
Yeah,
was
that
the
was-
finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, was it when Declan showed up in the doc?
Yeah, it was when I was.
Yeah,
Declan
that's
and
right.
Harini.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's right.
I
That's
posted
right.
that
That's
on my
right.
story today. Because I really liked that moment too.
I did, yeah. No, I watched your story.
Yes.
Also Gertie bringing her brother to class.
Oh my god!
Legendary.
None of us thought that was gonna work, and the fact that it did fucking rules.
Yeah, Franny's one good role of the series.
And now you created a monster of a president.
It's true. It's true.
Not sorry about it.
Nice cool chul, baby.
As long as you, I think John Pill's running for re-election, isn't he?
Probably.
What a pill.
Oh boy. So Grady, is Grady? Were you doing a Gertie thing?
I think it was a
Okay,
Gertie.
great.
Yeah, play on Gertie.
Okay, let's move on.
Are we only in question? What question?
Question 4, William. What was something that you have done or want to do that excites you for storytelling in this medium? The random rolls. One of my favorite stories ever told is the Adventure Zone Balance arc. If you're into like tabletop gaming at all, and also Kira, you said at one point that you aren't super familiar with D&D, but this is actually like a pretty easy podcast to get into if you're not familiar with D&D, and it's also really, really fun.
I started listening to it before knowing really anything about D&D,
Yeah.
and it's like a big part of why I played. It's very easy to.
At first, it's just like a group of people getting together, like doing random stuff and that kind of thing, and it
Silly
evolves
jokes
into
and-
something like really magical. And I think the only way that they could do that is with the format of doing a D&D podcast. Much like how I don't think I could have possibly. Well, no, I mean, like I absolutely could not have told this story the way that it is. Without it being up to like dice rolls half the time, or playing off of like 4 other people at a table, and I mean like sincerely, if you sit down by yourself to write something, because I'm also a writer, and I've written like films and scripts for web series and that kind of thing, I do a lot of just like sort of improv in my head and like bouncing ideas off of myself, like going like creating characters and like letting them have conversations, and that's how I like write dialogue most of the time. But not knowing how someone is going to interact with me is like really exciting, and that leads to an incredibly different version of storytelling than I could possibly have done writing wise. I could write this draft and beef it up 1,000 times, and it wouldn't be as good as it is because of the format that we're using. So, I mean, if you really like storytelling, you don't even have to do a show. Just grab some friends and like find a tabletop role-playing game that really suits you. Kids Up like super easy to get into, and just play it and tell a story with like everybody, and don't be precious with your ideas. Let everybody come to the table, and it's like it does something that is like really special.
Also, of course, William is being facetious, and all of these scripts.
No.
They have done such a good job with the writing. Really, the dialogue is impeccable. Even like planning for moments where we roll, and just it's amazing. You should see the scripts. They're like 400 pages an episode.
I will kind of tag off to this little section because, like, in playing Hijinks and Handlebars, I don't know if y'all have this challenge, but I now have the experience of, like, how the fuck do I concisely describe this to somebody?
Yeah.
Because, like, I've been doing theater almost 10 years now, like, since I was a teenager, you know? And, like, we all have a lot of, like, theater, film, and improv experience going into this, you know? So, and like, it's really over the past few months, honestly around the Apocalypse World one shot, where I feel like the way I perceived what we were doing kind of started to evolve and view this as a very legitimate form of theater, of storytelling. And how, just to say it, how I've started to conceptualize in my head is that it's kind of, this is a character-driven, long-form improv show using tabletop role-playing systems to kind of develop characters as well as determine random probability on plot points and how things develop.
I'll be getting that tattoo tomorrow.
It'll just be all the way down.
QueueTimes, presenting what Spencer just said.
And then we'll all get matching tattoos, but they all just say what they said.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go on to question 5. Players, how do you think the events of the story so far have changed your characters? Let's start with Gertie again, unless you wanna.
I need more time to think.
Okay.
I can probably start with that. I mean, I think this is kind of tied into my previous question of where do I want to go with Derry, which is like still just to follow what I think the natural progression has been, which is that Derry came into this story as someone who really wanted to fight and who like had been bullied, and he saw the best way to stop that as to beat them at their own game and get stronger than them and better at fighting and best them and make them stop that way. But that has, I don't think, ever gone well for him in any situation where he's tried to actually fight, because he's just either gotten broken or just defeated in different ways. So definitely I think that while it hasn't like killed his spirit at all, I think it's made him like his decisions are being made differently. He's being more careful, I think. And like literally in the last episode, when we were in the like danger situation, I think all I had Derry do was like run away in different creative ways, like throw them off the path and like try to do that. So like he's becoming someone who doesn't need to rush in to fight his problems. And also like I started him being like, probably partly because I was watching a lot of Riverdale when we starting this, but like he was like keeping secrets from his friends a lot, which is like a way to create dramas. Like I had him going and like colluding with Larry of the Goth Kids without talking to his friends about it. And like, I think just like the little points like that, he like kind of saw how that was detrimental to his friendship with Teddy and Gertie and Frankie, especially with the Shadowplay stuff, because there's a whole conversation like not keeping secrets from each other and not telling other people. So like I think he's become more loyal to his friends and more conscious of how he like, I don't know, I guess interacts with other people given this magical stuff that's going on.
Yeah. And we got a thing. The one time he almost fought, he broke his wrist. That's actually the first time you threw a punch, you hurt your fist against Big Rob and Little Pete in the woods, like episode 2 or episode 1 or something.
Yeah.
And the second you got your wrist broken. But I mean, I will say, if you want to know one of my favorite moments ever as a GM was getting to kick their ass as Taryn Takahashi, because we had built up so much that she was a good fighter, and then getting to just wipe the floor with you was so satisfying. I don't know, it was it was awesome.
Well, we talked about that very, very briefly with the Krolum being like super powerful and then being able to defeat it quickly. So it was cool to see the opposite happen with Taryn.
Yeah. I love Derry realizing slowly that using his brains works better than punching his problems.
I mean, that's how I designed the character, and
I can't wait for the moment though when Derry decides to go full circle and be like, the computer's not working. Push! I'm in.
No, I do think I would like to do the point where Derry can use his brains to fight, which is like what he's kind of doing now with Teran Takahashi. Like, I want you to teach me techniques that I myself can use, because he is, I think, always going to be in situations where fighting is going to be necessary if the same things keep happening to him. Yeah. But it cannot be based on the 5-pound weights that he's lifting all the time, because that's only getting him so far. He's not going to punch. He might be able to move fast and throw people off of him, but if not,
anybody else?
I mean, obviously the effects of the story have had a pretty profound impact on Teddy. I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but like...
Probably the most for you.
Yeah. We sort of talked, like, outside of stream about how Teddy's story really just, like, he happened to have the right story to have a really tight Venn diagram of the plot. Like, the issues he was having in his life pretty much directly related.
Hold on, yes, we get it. Dead horse, you're talking about.
Okay, anyway.
Jeez.
But,
because no, both, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of death on your side of the story.
At this point, Michael and James are dead, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're zombie
Whole
fam.
family.
Hashtag zombie fam.
Hashtag Adam's family's back.
So, it has really affected Teddy, and I think also, though, not related to his sister, I think these things have started to break Teddy out of his shell a little bit, and especially starting to try to use his powers for good, for lack of a better word. It's really pushed him in the direction of realizing, like, I can't do this on my own, and I need other people.
I kind of want to tack one thing onto that I wanted to mention earlier, but one thing I'm interested in doing with Derry is having him rely on Teddy in dangerous situations more, because Teddy has shown himself to be able to handle that, I think, significantly better with jumping from the tree with a stick sword and having died and come back to life. So, like, it only makes sense that, like, Derry might be, like, hiding behind Teddy next time the bullies come around, and, like, that, I think, is a big change from how it started.
Teddy's also, like, the biggest and the brawniest of us.
I think so.
Is that?
And with
that true?
I mean, with your age, this is something that I was gonna say. Someone mentioned when are we gonna see Gertie drive because she's turning 15?
Oh yeah.
Which is
I thought it was 16.
16 is when you get your license. 15 you get your driver's permit.
Oh.
Your learner's permit. But also you live in a small town. I started driving when I was 13. Don't tell any cops.
Hey, chat, you're not cops, are you? You have to tell us. You have to tell us.
But yeah, I'm planning on having Teddy hit a growth spurt at some point.
Oh God.
Which I wanted to talk to you about. But,
okay. Yeah.
But, I mean, that has to happen. I mean,
it totally does. Teddy's going through a lot of changes right now.
I mean, it's true. Changes. Yeah. So what about this side of the table?
It's so funny to think that honestly, only about 2 weeks have passed.
Did Gertie have a fear?
Any harm that came to little brother, mostly. That was the biggest thing. So like, cause like we started mid-October because of fall break, and then now we've just finished the second arc on Halloween. So within those 2 weeks, like, how has Gertie been affected by? I would say probably she's learned a lot about communicating. With friends, with family, because I know from the get-go, especially discovering the Shadow Place and BB, Gertie wanted to be super secretive and kind of not let anyone in on this. And I think by the end of this 2 weeks arc, she got more comfortable with letting the right people know, and I don't know, being more accepting of what is happening, that it's not just pertaining to her, and that it is just kind of a whole town event that's happening. So I guess communication would be Gertie's big one.
And I agree. Gertie liking the Shadow Place was an interesting choice. I still think that's an interesting choice. I still like it every time it comes up. You've stayed pretty consistent. Like, there have been times where you've like wavered a little bit, but especially it was pretty validating the last time y'all went together, because everyone popped out and was like, usually that's pretty bad, but that ruled. And like Gertie's just like, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Let's broadcast the group by end of Arc 2. Get your phone out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie.
I kind of addressed this a little bit in my earlier answer, as well as I talked about this again in the last cast chat about, again, trying to like figure out how do you play someone so young and like feeling like making discoveries as a player of like, okay, cool, who is Frankie as an individual and not just like a child without a mind, you know? What was the verbiage of the question again, exactly?
I don't know. I can't get that.
How do you get characters change?
How do you think the events of the story so far have changed your character?
Okay, I think that definitely... Gertie wants to get high. I just want to say, I love how cheeky Gertie is about your medicine, fox parents, and the fox...
Like, hey, he smoked weed in front of you in the final episode.
That's true.
And you were like, "Can I get that? I need it for my nerves." And your mom was like, "What?"
But like, again, like it's kind of this contrast of being fearless and how that has a different meaning once you have seen things that are worthy of being afraid of, which we've seen more of, you know, which it kind of adds a greater challenge, you know. So how does like that? I think that's a change, you know, like, you know, you're not courageous unless you can't be courageous unless you have fear within you, right?
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I realized I skipped over like the one like I think specific example that was addressed in an episode of like when events changed the character of Derry, which was I think it was after we stole the photo book from Taryn's house, and like I in character had a realization that like, oh, I did something bad just because someone else did something bad, and it didn't feel right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if it was in retaliation or for good reasons, like, Derry's... Like, finding the way that his actions are affecting people and, like, consequences of that, which sometimes... I mean, there are things, like, I don't think that Derry was as, like, unjustified in that maybe as he might have in the moment, but, like, just the consideration of that is something that wasn't even there before because he hadn't had to face that.
Yeah.
Like, hurting somebody.
It's funny because I've told this to other people. I think you and I have even talked about it maybe, but there was a moment of interaction in the cafeteria where Taryn came to get the photo back and like slammed you up against the wall and was like, "Give me back the photo of my grandma," which is like very serious, like very vulnerable. And then your response to it was like, "Well, no, I can't reward this kind of behavior." That genuinely felt bad.
Yeah.
Like in character, I was like, it made me think Derry was a complete piece of shit. Because I was like, that's like not how you talk to people at all. Like, I mean, you steal someone's like grandmother's photo, and then like they come and like very noticeably like not the right way of doing it, but like give me the photo back, and like your first interaction was like. Alluding like I've got it, but I can't give it to you if you're going to get it this way. Yeah, and I've talked to several people about like that instance, and that like actually changed the way that I have certain people interact with all of you, because especially Taryn, like when you were in her home and you were knocking shit off of like shelves in the fridge.
She did it first.
And like
she did it first.
Yeah, but it was in her own home, is what I'm saying. It's like you all like treated like her and her environment and her home like very callously, and it like made me really hate your characters for a little while because I was like, oh my god, you guys suck. Like I get you've been through stuff, but like wow. And then, but then like as time went on, it was super refreshing to see Derry be like, I really feel bad. I need to get her out of jail. Like I feel like when you kept talking to every adult and you were like, I feel like I put her there. Like I feel like it is my fault. And no, she shouldn't have beaten you up. And no, like she.
And there was a point to like not rewarding violence, but it was like knowing Taryn, she could have been much more violent than she was in the moment. But also like. Yeah, I think Derry had gone. Well, I literally said in Session 0, like, Derry is a teen who knows that as a teen he's invincible, and knows, but, like, has found that he's not. And I think that was a moment of, like, he knew that Taryn couldn't do anything to him, so he could say whatever the shit he wanted, but, yeah.
And we have there's going to be a moment in the future, Gertie smoking weed on bed, Phoebe walks in, sits down and joins. I mean, probably. Maybe. Frankie freaking out about how people can die made me sad. That made me sad, too. In the moment,
Actually,
I was like...
to, like, kind of... To still answer that same question, I feel another discovery that has been made after, like, that point, after finding those bodies in the woods, like, I think Frankie has a kind of stronger empathetic streak that we didn't see initially, and I feel like Frankie, like, was genuinely concerned for the bullies, you know, and I think that going into, like, the whole, like, going into the finale, the confrontation with the bullies, even then it wasn't, we're enemies, we're gonna fight, it was more like, what's up, man? You know, and I think Frankie's also been seeing that sort of, like, concern for, like, hey, Taryn, you're, like, our enemy too, but, like, I'm concerned for you too. You know,
the relationship with Taryn that like over the course of the stream has been super interesting because she went from being, like, head bully, like, person that we were all like, oh god, oh, like, oh no, to being a very, like, realized. I feel like she almost did the same thing that Harini did, except her connotation was negative.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, we heard about her and how bad she is and how terrible she is, and then we sort of, like, got to, like, experience her as a character, and we realized that, like, her motivations are coming from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm super cautious about just letting bullies off the hook by giving them, like, a sympathetic backstory. Like, that's something I've seen in a lot of media too much. Like, oh, the kid only bullies the gay kid because that kid is also gay. Like, that kind of thing. Not to call out anything, but
I mean, that's 100 things.
Yeah, that's 100 things. So I know I like never wanted to fully, like, force sympathy for Taryn, and especially not for the rest of the bullies, because, like, I mean, there are bullies in a world where we have sort of, like, drawn a line that we don't want to cross about, like, race and gender and, like, seemingly, like, class, like, a little bit and that kind of thing. Like, it's all kind of, like, muddied because that's not the kind of story that I want to tell, and in a lot of instances I don't feel qualified to tell sort of those stories. But bullies have to bully for a reason, and a lot of times in, like, our world, bullies bully for, like, class, like, reasons, for race reasons, for gender reasons. Like, it is usually based out of something, whether it is internal or something at home, or, like, genuinely, like, someone just, like, has an uncomfortability that has formed into hate for something they either don't understand or have been bred, like, and nurtured into not understanding and being hateful towards. So for this, because of the environment of the world that we've created, it has been very important for me to keep bullies until they are given a good reason not to, and if that is in their heart, if that makes sense. And Taryn was the one that I knew had a chance of having something else happen, and it's been interesting seeing where that goes, but I'm glad we haven't, like, full-on been like, Taryn was bad, now Taryn is good, which I think a lot of credit goes to the way you're all playing, and especially Gertie, like, being completely, it's great. Frankie's great because it's, like, a middle ground, where Frankie is like, I still don't trust Taryn, but, like, she's going through a lot, and, like, someone needs to be there for her. And Gertie is like, I don't trust Taryn at all, but, like, fine. And then Derry is like, I feel kind of guilty, and, like, I feel like we have a lot more common ground with Taryn than we believed previously, so I think someone should be there for her. That kind of thing.
I want to really quickly address a specific question about Taryn in there. As the inventor of the bullies, Regal Mercenary asks, is there a traumatic event that Taryn did to the group besides just being a terrible bully? I don't think so. I actually think that with the list, I think the other four, Derry, like, sought them out to stop them because of specific instances with him or with Teddy or with some of the four of us. I think Taryn, partly because of the age difference, because, like, this is the first time we've shared a school with Taryn since Derry was, like, 9.
Sure.
So I think Derry just sees as, like, the most threatening bully, and that's why she was at the top. But like from everything we've seen her do, even in that first library scene with Gertie, she seems more intimidating than actually like
Malicious.
malicious.
I'm just gonna say, Dake Marin finds joy in psychologically screwing with people, like genuine joy, and he will not stop feeling that, clearly. Jordan Willows is completely like a yes man, and will do whatever like the person above him tells him to do, and will do that to a complete fault. Big Rob really enjoys like holding his power over things, and definitely is cruel to animals. And then the one
Pete.
little Pete. Little Pete is my insert of like frail masculinity, of like someone who almost you know what. I'll just say it. It's like a little Pete is my insert of like those the tabletop people who are really gatekeepy and are like inclusivity is killing like tabletop gaming. It's people who feel an ownership to something just because they are small and they feel like they have been completely like berated and beaten down by society, and so they take it out on other marginalized groups. And that's little Pete. That's like where I'm coming from
He
that.
felt like he was bullied, so he became one. Kind
Yes.
of cool.
Yeah, I mean, like he feels entitled to taking revenge. That's like where little Pete is coming from.
Feels is in the present.
Exactly,
It's-
feels entitled.
Not to kind of like, just to kind of drop some real world commentary on kind of like, I guess the nature of abuse and the psychology behind it, that it often does kind of follow a cycle of sorts, you know, where frequently those who are abused become abusers, and this is kind of like a prominent example of that, you know, which is why you see that like archetype of like, oh, they have a real bad backstory, you know.
Yeah, I sort of like. No, I don't want to get too serious into this, but like there are so many marginalized people, especially in the queer community, who are treated like shit their whole lives and do not treat other people bad. So there is like some other element that is not just people being treated poorly and bullied that lends itself to someone becoming like a revenge-seeking dickbag. And somewhere along the line there's a disconnect, but there is a link from like abuse to abuser, but
You learn behaviors and
but yes.
It's nature and nurture.
We just thank you. I didn't realize you were still watching Night Clever. Yeah. So and also I'm just gonna say this. It was very important to me for all of the bullies to be white boys, and that's why and giving Taryn like the one out was like. That's just how I feel. That's
also,
how I feel.
I named them all, and like I did sort of name them. I imagined them as white boys minus Taryn as well. So
yeah. So
yeah.
next question, which is unless did somebody not get a chance to answer that last one? Did we get it?
I think everyone answered.
Okay, the next one's very fun. It's question 6. It's if you could play any other character that is other than your own, what would you play? And the same, which player character would I play? So, does anybody have an answer right off the bat?
Taryn Takahashi.
You play Taryn Takahashi?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
that'd be fun. I've already done that.
Wait, but also, like, just player Spencer. I really want to see how the story would be if Frankie died, like, and what y'all would do with that, you know, and like,
I know,
more than
I know.
anyone else, how that would like.
I was thinking about that earlier today. Well, because he's been the closest to death, I think, not including Teddy.
When we left,
Well, yeah.
when we left the stream, and I walked off saying, saying something along the lines of oh my gosh, like Frankie could have absolutely died. We got home and Franny was like, well, you wouldn't actually kill him, right? And I was like, he could have. And then like, I have no idea how Gertie would handle that. Like, I have no clue. Halt.
Kieran doesn't like it.
No, stop. Foreshadowing.
I think my
I will say I will never ever kill a character just to do it. Like, yeah, I have no interest in being like, oh, Gertie needs to feel something. Boom, Frankie's dead. Like, that's not gonna happen. Yeah. If I GM'd, I'd make more Asian bullies. It's less that multiracial bullies don't exist and more that you don't want to speak to that, right? Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, Teran Takahashi's bully. Teran Takahashi is like, she just likes, she likes fighting and she doesn't care who she's hurting. So I'm not, I mean, like representation isn't just like representing the best parts of like what you think you're capable of speaking on. That's why like I like that Teran Takahashi is a bully, and I like what we're doing with Izawa right now. But yeah, there's definitely still like shortcomings with what I can think of in the moment based on the way that I prep for the campaign. So sometimes I will like be more lenient in moments where I'm not like ready to do that, and then it leads to situations like Teran Takahashi. Like if I would have just beaten the crap out of Gertie in the library instead of having Teran meet her in the gym, then that would have turned Terran's entire like story into something completely different, which is like also super valid. But I just know like I for the most part didn't want the bullies to be redeemable, because I've seen like a lot of stories of like people being redeemed without really dealing with the reason that they are the way that they are. But I feel like Teran has been forced into dealing with that, so that's more of the reason why she's like open to falling into a different path or like something like that. But
it's also worth saying, I don't think that Teran is redeemed.
Oh yeah,
Like at this point, like where we are in the story, I don't think. At least my Sam the player's perception of that character is not that she is redeemed. It is that she is going through similar trauma to the other characters, and that is what has created a bond between us and her for now.
Yeah, and just to directly speak on that, it's less that multiracial bullies don't exist and more that you don't want to speak to that, right? I think it was just very important for me to have non-redeemable, terrible white people. Because like most other stories are just way too ready to redeem white people. So it was more of a me wanting to like definitively comment on a specific trope than to also like bridge into having multiracial people that don't have to be perfect examples of their race. Like, which absolutely I'm trying to do in certain instances and could be doing better. So if we go back to the question where like, what do I hope to do with the game in the future? That's a really good example of something that I can work on. Yeah. So, and Chris, we'll talk about that over and over and over again.
Hello,
hi people.
Hello, Elbrin.
Elbrin. So Teran is who you would play.
So I have a player character and a non-player character answer. If I could play another player character, it would be Frankie. Frankie seems very fun to play. And then it's between Marcus and Baba Vahid for NPC that I want to get in the head of. I think Marcus post-concussion Marcus is I think who I want to play the most. Post-concussion D&D Marcus is what I'm feeling.
Yeah, Wait, is Mayo Demons
unredeemable white people, also known as Mayo Demons.
Jesus. I didn't know we were picking player characters. My first thought is Declan.
You're not. You're picking NPCs.
Oh, Declan then.
Mm-hmm. You want to play Declan? I would love
Declan.
Do the voice.
I can't do that.
I know, I'm just kidding. I can't play Declan. I don't mean to play
Vito, nobody can play Declan.
I know, but if I could play one character, like, there's something so compelling about Declan being like this kind of like person who's on his own, who has found this community and is sort of starting to feel like included. And also, I think some of the most powerful character moments with Declan, like, you know, admitting like that. I always come back to, like, as an example of how good this show can get, I always come back to that first time that Gertie is in Declan's treehouse, and he is like, well, if I never find a group, then I never get disappointed that they don't want me there.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't
remember
exactly.
I
don't fit in or
exactly.
something like that. Yeah,
and it, like that to me is such a good example of like what this show could be, and so it's always the character moment that I'm like, oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I always love when I say stuff like that without like stuttering or something, without like falling over it, because like I mean it's in the moment, and like when I said that in my head, I was like, damn.
I also just like a sort of a random choice, but I would love to play Sandra.
Yeah, the police
Interesting.
officer. Sandra.
Sandra
Sorry,
Tolwell.
go ahead.
She's super
That
interesting.
would make an interesting choice.
Part of the reason I think she would be interesting is that I have no idea how I would play her,
Oh yeah.
and like that would be fun to figure out how to play her.
She reminds me a lot, really quick note on Sandra. This means nothing to you and possibly nothing to any of you, but maybe to you. Sandra reminds me a lot of Officer Aunt Cop from A Night in the Woods,
You're
which
right.
you watched me play a little bit of.
Yeah, I
But
vaguely.
it's
Yeah.
a little, just from what we've seen of Sandra, maybe you understand that. Yes.
Declan inviting Gertie over after that long stressful episode was so heartwarming. He's a safe place. Yeah.
That's true.
Totally is a safe place.
That was I think
Yes.
Yeah.
Kinda there you go.
some of my
Yes, Kira.
absolute favorite scenes I've gotten to do in this entire frickin' show is Declan and Gertie scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And my
Yeah.
favorite to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that dynamic. Who would you play?
I'm gonna cheat because I kind of have two. Harini.
Yeah.
Because I gave Harini kind of a backstory. Harini has a twin brother as well.
That's true.
Oh my god.
That's true. I can't keep introducing characters.
Wait, Cynthia's also a twin.
And his name is Gary.
Because I really like,
my God.
I like the
Larini.
little backstory that I come up for Harini. Maybe you guys will find out, maybe not. I mean,
Is Larry short for Larini? Larini Gossary. Okay.
and then I would have a ball being an inside voice of BB.
Interesting.
That would be cool.
Can that be a one shot?
You want so bad to hear BB speak.
I want to talk to her so bad.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get those with our fourth powers.
It would be really fun to do a one shot as BB, and also like BB's toys, which also have voices inside BB's head,
Okay.
as like Marcus and Phoebe. But it's Phoebe like seeing all the powers, when she just was the most frazzled we ever saw her.
Oh yeah, that's the one time we were talking
And it's
to.
BB having
Yeah.
an adventure, and like the little mice in the walls, I guess.
I have Franny's wish fulfillment. Yeah. The player character I would want to play the
Gertie.
most is Gertie. I really like Gertie as a character. I think there's I think it's because I'm not quite as interested in having something like combat related. But also, it might also be because I've, as an NPC, I've interacted with Gertie, I think, more than anybody else. Because Gertie talks to the parents the most and talks to Declan the most. We have a no ships allowed. Gertlin Deckley.
I think ships can sail on this
Dirty
sea.
Gecklin.
Hashtag Gardini.
What ships would you like to see
Gertie
us
for life.
play out in real time?
Yeah.
Well, I will say there we
14th century man of war.
Yeah. Dirty is kind of confusing because that's also Derry and Teddy.
Declan and Harini as one. That
Ooh.
could be.
Yeah.
Gurklini.
Let them come up with it while I. But the reason, I mean, sincerely, that I would want to be Gertie is because I think you've done the most, backstory, build, I love your bike, I love your shoes, I love your Rubik's Cube, I love your, the whole style of Gertie, and for some reason, I think Gertie is who I would want, me as William would want to be the most. I just picture myself wearing purpley sparkly shoes, hopping on my English bird and just riding around town. Because I think I'm the only one of us who grew up in a really small town, right? Really small town. And I used to ride my bike around town all the time, with my friends or just by myself. And I could do that for 4 or 5 hours at a time. And just seeing what your bike looked like, and I don't know. There's just something really about Gertie as a character that I super, super love. that if I was in a small town and I was Gertie, I would fucking love it. I would just be strolling. I'd be rolling around having a whole bunch of adventures going into the woods. If I ever loved going into the woods, that would be interesting, because William does not. What's Declan's last name? It is Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Can I insert a question before we...
Yeah. Derry, why don't you ask... Jonas, why don't you ask your question?
No, I was wondering... Hi, Derry here from the Bald High News.
Gazette.
Bald Gazette. So we've talked about the Rose's roommate, Mark, and he came up again in the last sort of one-shot thing we did. And we've sort of alluded to, like, his kind of, like, clowning career in canon, but we haven't addressed, like, specifics about that. Since it hasn't been mentioned, like, in a canon episode, what is his clown name? Has that been...
I don't know. I think it's changed. If he still does it.
Quadruple fuck the clown.
No!
Over!
Yeah, does anybody have access to the rest of the questions? My thing...
I'm sure I can.
I can pull them up.
7,
I know the Daily Bulletin thing, but not in the high school. Thank you, Kira. Kira, what was your
question 7?
7th question? It's in your notes still, maybe?
I can look.
Else I can't find it, but...
Scroll.
Oh, it had something to do with if your character could be in a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
I was trying to look at the question.
If
Don't give me that look.
if your character could be in a TV show...
Power Rangers.
1 minute. Oh, we had another question that Kira asked, like, if we could get to it. Do we have access to
it? was about the Gertie driving.
Oh, was that one?
Oh,
Okay, good. I got that one then. Are there any questions we missed? Does anyone know?
The chat will tell us.
Yeah.
TV show or movie?
Chad,
It is the
did
TV
we
show.
not answer your
Chat.
question? Ask it again.
That you're... So wait, so is
Hey,
it...
chat. Play Despacito.
Okay, I see. God, I love Declan. Thanks. How do you spell character names? Lol.
All right, now you're just GIF baiting right now.
What, baby?
Stop! What? No! Don't apologize.
What is
Sorry.
Someone
that was so
answer.
rough.
Someone answer. TV show or movie? Also, can we move to that side?
Get away from me! You're gross.
I've got an answer, except I can't.
Alexa, play Despacito.
No!
Don't.
Wait, no. Kira said I have an Alexa. She might hear you.
It's also funny because whenever I'm over at one of their places, they have a Google Home,
yeah.
but also it just seems whenever I call it out, not only will it activate their Google Home, but it'll also activate on William's phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spencer can activate my phone, which is bad. Which is very bad. Joke's on you, our Alexa has a different command word. I know what it is too, and nobody do it.
No one do it. Seriously. Okay, so is it what TV show or movie would you want your character to be on, or would your character want to?
Okay, you definitely activated Kira's Alexa.
Spencer, apologize again.
I refuse. Alexa, apologize.
What? Okay. What is that? What is the show? God damn it! The theme song is
Full House.
Teddy
Or
would want to be
Fuller
on Full
House.
House.
Teddy would be on Full House?
Yep.
Is it because Teddy's house feels very empty?
It's because Teddy's house feels a little weird
Oh,
right now,
okay.
and that's where he would want to be.
I think Teddy would be on Fuller House.
So this is like what
Might be
TV
on
show would
Fuller
your
House.
character want? TV show or movie would your character want to live in
To insert your character.
as themselves? Okay. I think. I mean, I've established that Derry has it. No.
We're gonna get a copyright strike.
Teddy would be grave robbing in Full House. Yikes!
Sorry.
Yikes! Yeah, Teddy's gonna grow up to be a mortician.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have...
So while I would love to see Derry in the wild world of Riverdale, I think Derry, as established, would most want to be in the Harry Potter universe, ideally at Hogwarts, learning magic and
I
wizardry.
thought you hate Harry Potter.
Oh, is that it?
No. You really love it, but you outwardly
Is that what it is?
I'm
Derry,
pretty sure.
why would he hide that? I gotta figure that out. Wait, okay, so this is a good point. So we
You have
should
the same
bring
birthday.
So
as the Harry
Derry,
Potter.
I think that's what it is.
vocally dislikes Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So does
okay.
Derry, though.
I think
I know.
Derry Well, I don't know.
Maybe you liked it and you hated
Maybe
it.
I like it. I don't know. I think there's definitely sharing a birthday. There's probably a resentment because Derry probably got a lot of like Derry, Harry, like kind of mocking for a while.
Harry Potter.
But I think like Derry has still read all the books and seen all the movies and maybe would want to live
Which one
there.
would be in Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because that's a good answer.
Teddy, I think.
That's
I think
Teddy
that's
for
what-
sure.
Derry and Teddy belong in School of Rock.
Yes, they
Agreed.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
We haven't seen the concert yet.
We haven't seen the gorge jump yet.
Wait. I'm actually
Yeah,
picturing
yeah,
that. If
totally.
it wasn't like a full class and Jack Black, because we established that they're terrible. So I imagine Jack Black is like,
Oh no.
don't crush their spirits. Don't crush their spirits. We'll work on it.
Keep going.
Yeah.
That's my Jack Black.
Wait. What would Gertie? What TV show would Gertie be
Okay,
on?
I have a TV show and I have a movie.
Okay.
So TV show would be Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt,
Oh.
and then movie would be The Goonies.
Fuck yeah. I
Okay.
could totally
I see
see
that.
Gertie in the Goonies.
Stand by me, Teddy, you fool.
Teddy would not want to be in Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God.
Well, isn't this you inserting your character in?
Is it what
Well,
you want?
I wouldn't want Teddy to be in. He's got. Listen, Teddy's been through enough. He doesn't need.
Frank would be in Boruto.
You know what? Like, Spencer as a player, I don't have an answer. In Frankie's mind, I think Frankie would want to be in Power Rangers, but now Spencer wants to insert Frankie in Boruto.
God, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely Power Rangers,
What
though.
does Derry even watch? Like on his own? Does he? I don't know that Derry watches a lot of things. Now that I'm thinking about it, because he hasn't referenced
Frankie
a lot
would be
of.
in Red vs. Blue because he never plans things through, but they always turn out exceptionally well.
That's pretty good.
Someone's just now laughing at Boruto.
Derry would want to be on Game Grumps.
Hey, that's fair.
Why not?
That's fair.
Sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is an acceptable form of media.
Yeah, I think.
Wait,
that feel
Marcus
right,
would want to
though?
be on Hijinks Handlebars. Kick-Ass the movie.
Kick-Ass is good. I don't know who that's for, but
Frankie, I think.
Frankie, yeah.
Kick-Ass. Yeah.
Well, maybe Derry.
Or Derry. God,
see
I
Derry and
don't
Kick-Ass.
know. It's a hard one.
It's fun, though.
Kick-Ass,
Yeah.
Kick-Ass, that guy gets the shit kicked out of him.
But he still kicks ass.
But then he learns to
I think
do well.
you know what
so-
I think Derry also that was a movie that I liked a lot in high school. So I
Yeah.
think Derry probably won. Yeah, let's say
Declan would want to be on Critical Role. That's
Uh-huh.
absolutely...
Oh,
No, here's the
yes.
thing. Declan will want to be on the Critical Role animated television show.
Melody.
That just got kickstarted. With Derry.
Melody, you mean
come
Grump,
on.
right?
Don't say them. Don't say them.
Drumpf.
Say them. Don't even say that. That's so...
Derry would be on Guest Grumps, so Derry would be Guest Grump.
Guess Grump, Derry.
Typing
Nazarene.
sideways sucks. That was
Yeah.
an autocorrect?
God, what a bummer! I'm so sorry, Melody.
Throw your phone out
Throw
the
your
window.
throw your phone into the sea.
Throw your
Throw your phone
down
out the
a
treehouse.
Out the treehouse,
Throw
yeah.
your phone out the treehouse.
Right
have
into
your
the
dad,
Rose's
have your
yard.
dad throw your phone out the treehouse.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
What was the movie you guys played in the car all the time? It started as Elf.
It was
and
Elf.
then most recently...
It was Elf. It's still playing.
No, it was
It's a
still
very
Elf,
long movie.
yeah.
No.
Well, there was a different movie in the one shot that
There's a different movie in the one shot.
that Kaylin asked for, which was Happy Feet. I think so. Kaylin.
It was Happy Feet.
Kaylin wants to be in Happy Feet
right.
because she loves penguins.
Yeah, Miss Vogel
but she
has
also wants to be
Happy
in Dairy
Feet in
Girls
her-
because she loves Ireland.
Oh, the Dairy Girls.
Those one shots are wild.
Yeah, the one shots are wild.
Those one shots
Yeah.
both are wild.
They really are.
I think 12.5 is a great episode to hey, what's this about? Check this out.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and also I put a little plot in it.
Yeah.
I put in a little plot.
bit of plot.
I put a little bit of plot.
It's funny because I
Seeds
feel
and he waters it. They
It's
water
just a
it.
little bit.
A little plot.
I have a question for Jonas.
What's up?
I am curious. So Teddy has been going through a lot, and we've established that Derry is Teddy's closest friend, I think. So what has been Derry's view of what Teddy has been going through, and how has what has happened in the last arc affected their relationship to you?
For sure. I think Derry's primary mode of operation in his like friendship with Teddy, which is by far his strongest relationship with anybody, is like support above everything else, especially like since the passing of your sister.
Yeah.
Like he has made every effort to just be supportive and be there for you, whatever that means. And I really don't think anything has changed that.
Okay.
Because I've been like checking in with that, like if Derry, because there were, when Teddy started going darker, it was a lot of stuff that Derry didn't know about, but I had to be prepared for Derry to find out about and react to.
Sure.
And I was like, if, when you were going to dig the grave, I was like, if he comes and asks Derry for help, like, I think Derry would immediately, like, be like, okay, like, after silence. And I think that's, like, the mode he's staying in is, like, with everything we've seen, it would be very hard for him to see something that would change the way he feels about and acts towards Teddy. I think he's probably more, like, I don't know. Like, I haven't even felt like he's more, like, off-put by anything because we've seen the Shadow Place and we've seen bullies come back from the dead and we've seen the Crolum and, like, I think even finding out that Teddy's dead is, like, the least horrifying thing. And it's like, it's just...
Well,
it's,
in the same instant, you have found out that Teddy is dead and alive.
Right. Which is
So-
like, I think it makes, that in particular makes him see you as like more of a superhero. And that's also, but that's also like another trauma that like Teddy's going to have to deal with, and Derry recognizes his part in being supportive in that. So like, I don't really think much has changed except that it's gotten more difficult. And I think one thing is he's been less sure how to be proactive about that help. So like, as you've gotten deeper into what's been going on with you, like, there have been significantly less moments where Derry can like take initiative and be like, here, let me do this for you. And it's more like, I'm right next to you. Let me know what you need because I'm in over my head, but I'm here. So, and maybe it'll continue in that direction. But I'll research how to help a friend who has come back to life from the dead. You know,
In the
I'll Google that. Yeah, in the computer lab.
Yeah.
How to train
Incognito,
yourself.
of course.
But we've got, just really quick, Derry and Teddy, the ultimate bromance, true facts. Many of my favorite character moments are with them. And then someone said, do we run out of questions? Seeing as how that is another question for the cast, would we like to answer? Yes, we have. But I will say this, we're about to wrap up. Send us last questions right now.
Lightning round.
I mean, like, they don't have to be fast, but like, give us your questions right now, and we will answer those. And then if we get done here, it is our plan that at the end of every arc, we're going to do a cast chat. So if you like collect questions in your phone or like or tweet them at me and I will put them in like notes somewhere. Needs more mom strength. The Teddy and Derry friendship was one of the things that scared me the most when I thought Teddy was going to die. Yeah. Favorite character relationships.
Also,
Is that like a... Yeah, that's a good question.
Cool. Wait, while we answer that, I'll actually pose a question for the audience. What are some moments that you would want to see visually explored if we were to have more drawings done?
Oh, damn. That's also a good question.
Really good question. Chat?
Well, there's
Discuss.
another... Yeah, more
Favorite?
drawings done? More drawings done, yeah. That's a question for you.
Favorite role to
Favorite character relationships. Let's go. I'll start. My favorite character relationship is Gertie and Declan.
I mean, other than Derry and Teddy, which come back to me for something that's not Derry and Teddy, yeah.
Just so we don't repeat, Gertie, Harini, Declan, Gertie, Harini, Declan, Declan, Harini. Gertini, did we decide? Scroll up. Gertini. Declartini.
Declartini.
I actually kind of do enjoy Little Pete and Big Rob kind of as a duo.
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting.
like,
Yeah.
like their introduction at the very beginning, it's like a very, it's a very classic, big guy, little guy archetype. And, like, I still remember, like, that was still as a player who was also an audience member, like, Little Pete being like, Big Rob, why didn't you just, stay in there? Like, you having that back and forth is, I still think, one of my favorite moments.
Wow.
So, like, just to point out something uncommon, I think that was pretty fun.
I will say Marcus and Phoebe are my favorite character relationship and also my relationship goals. And My favorite like relationship with my personal character and someone else, which isn't Teddy, is Derry and Gertie. The times that we actually get to like interact, because like the one that stands out the most was when they were the two to get mad and leave at Tiresias's, because like there's a certain way that they both think and that they both like sort of react to like authority and adults that is like a similar kind of rebellious that I would love to see played with more.
Sorry, those are really good answers to that drawing question. Keep going. We'll get to them.
Very quickly, favorite character relationship has to be the Fox kids.
Yeah.
The Fox family in general.
The Fox family in general, obviously Teddy and Derry, but like the way you, Spencer, and you, Franny, interact as those characters is amazing. Like the first time you did it, I was super blown away because I thought you were going to take it in completely the opposite direction, and it has been like so much fun to watch that be built on stream and see like the two of you interact as those characters.
My Gertie Harini, that's without being said or whatever. I have to say, I love Marcus's relationship with all the kids. Just the way he talks to them. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah, my close second was going to be Marcus and Frankie.
Marcus and Frankie's great, yeah.
I love the conversation I had with you about you pulling you out of school was like awesome. I love that so much, and every time you screw with me is like great. Like when I woke up and you told me you were my dad. And every time I wake up now I have yogurt in my mouth. Yogurt on the go. Great. Yeah, I love that.
Sandra and Derry's relationship. Just want to call that out from Regal Mercenary. I also love that. That was that episode.
That was very fun.
Hilarious.
That was when I realized that like what's written on my character sheet is one of my fears is middle-aged men in suits, and that was when I realized that it was like worn symbols of authority. I think is Derry's fear, because he just like completely loses any composure with the cop.
Oh, we missed this earlier in the chat. I saw it before, but one of my favorite emotional moments was Frankie chasing after Teddy during a dark Teddy moment. When he defended Teddy, I got chills. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, every like moment Frankie is grasping the reality of this situation. This season has been awesome. I really love that.
Derry's relationship with his big saxophone.
Great, yeah.
Not big enough.
And then okay, so favorite role to make. I think that's like your favorite time, I guess. I'm interpreting it as a time when you rolled and it really like stood out to you. Like whether it was a giant failure or a huge success.
God, this wasn't my role, but Gertie convincing the teacher to let Frankie stay in school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I did love that. My favorite role personally was when I rolled. And Shirley thought I was about to kill Frankie, and then it's when you rolled grit to blow up the Krolum in the garage. That was like one of my favorite. Yeah.
I'm not sure I've rolled in this campaign yet. I'm trying to think of the time.
Or a role that somebody else made.
Definitely the like first episode when I rolled a 41 and William didn't let me fly. That stands out in my memory.
Not yet, Teddy.
Just so like love that moment. Can't wait for more of not letting Teddy fly. Hashtag let Teddy fly.
Hashtag let Teddy fly.
Hashtag let Teddy fly. On a more serious note, the moment of Frankie getting into the high school.
Yeah, that really did clinch it.
It feels like something that shouldn't happen, and because of the dice, it did, and it was incredible.
It shouldn't have happened.
It's like if you're playing D&D and your bard is facing off against a gelatinous cube and you roll seduction.
One of my favorite dice rolls, not of mine, I can't think of any of mine that stood out, but like is every time that Franny as Gertie rolls to teleport into the shadow place, because I always know it is almost certainly never going to work, and I'm always excited to see what is going to happen, because it could be anything.
Okay, so the last thing, I do want to get to the drawings, because there were some really good ideas that people would like to see. Frankie taking out the Krolum and being blown out a 2-story building. Those are both really good. Group hug at the end of Arc 2 like when everybody's hugging, when you're like, I love you, dads, and like you all group hugged, that'd be a great drawing.
With our party hats.
With your party hats on. Or BB and the 4 characters making contact in the shadow place when you were all glowing and it was completely like, dark around you. Yeah, those are all really great. I love those. Question for William. Are you okay with players spending more time with NPCs than other players? Is that something you're trying to avoid? William, are you smiling at me? I'm scared. I was. Not to scare you, but you did ask me a question and I smiled at it. So, are you okay with players spending more time with NPCs than other players?
I've thought about this too.
I've thought about that too because when we were changing the setup for the way that we were doing the environment of recording in the QueueTimes space, we have a gaming table now. You can't see it.
It's fantastic.
It's awesome. But the way that we were positioned before was I was positioned right across from the players. So I could see their faces while we were interacting, and now I'm like trying to like cheat a little bit more, and like if we're going to be having a conversation, my face will be mostly toward the camera, which means I won't be having a direct like if I was talking to Jonas, this is how it would be.
Right.
So thank you for being here for us. The table's amazing. It was a long time coming. But seeing other GMs and like other games that are played, I think it is mostly like character to character, and I think because of the way the game has been being played, it is very NPC heavy. I think part of that is because I can't stop talking, but I love making NPCs, and I love when my players attach themselves to NPCs and find them like really like exciting and that they want to interact with them, which makes me want to interact back. And I love role playing. So I do not avoid NPC interaction. I encourage it. But one thing personally for myself is I get really like I'm super conscious of like trying to take a backseat when I know that like there are more players in the room and like just letting them go. So that is something I think in some instances I could still do better, but I don't try to avoid NPC interaction, and I like it. Yeah.
I just counted because we were talking about NPCs earlier. So we have a document that
that's a made up number. That's not real.
No, it is real. I counted. We have a document that sort of like chronicles like all of the NPCs that we've established in the world, and also like locations and things, so that the cast can refer to them. We have the current number. We have 75 NPCs in this world currently.
Yeah.
And they all have unique, distinct characters.
I should mention, not all of them have been introduced on stream. There have been a couple that we probably won't ever see on stream that are just more
God willing.
Yeah.
But I love playing different
William
characters.
Godding.
Yeah.
I want to really quick to touch on the character and NPC interaction. I've been trying to be more conscious of putting myself in situations with only NPCs because I felt like I had been doing a bit of that. And like just being conscious of it, I think is the thing, not necessarily avoiding it. But also part of why we're doing so much with the NPCs is one, your characters are great and we all want to hang out with them. But also I've been feeling for a while, like at least this arc, that like this is becoming as much a story about Bald as it is about the kids. Like while we are the central cast, like I think it's expanding to like there's like almost a dozen people that know something about what's going on now, and it's only going to keep growing with a town this small. So like it's gonna become about the town. So I feel like that's just natural.
Not to mention the end of the last arc, people went in the ground. Like that's not something that is probably going to be hidden for very long. So
I don't think that happened.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, do you mean Derry and Frankie?
No, I mean you were teasing at the end of
I said empty
finale
mounds.
2. People were taken from their homes and there were empty mounds in the field.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Great. I can't wait to expand on that next week. Okay. All right. So that's it. If you have any more questions, just send them to me on Twitter at @KWilliamWhite. We have to wrap up. Thank you all so much for being here with us and being through all the technical difficulties we had at the beginning. Sorry about the late start.
Yeah.
But this has been super worth it. I'm glad we did this. This is awesome. I can't wait for the next one. So we should probably burn through that third arc real fast. I'll just kill all of them.
We'll do 3 weeks and 2 days.
Yeah.
We'll do the inverse.
So thank you. It's great to interact with you. Again, next week we'll be going back to, it's the start of Arc 3. And we're going to go back to not watching the chat, but someone will be in the chat. QueueTimes will be in the chat to talk to you, so that'll be awesome. We do go back and look at the chat afterwards, so don't stop commenting. In fact, the more interaction we get in the chat, the more likely it is that new viewers will come in and be like, oh, what's all this then?
What's all this then? What's all this?
Yes, we have a large UK audience.
Please tell your friends.
Yeah,
Please
In the UK.
tell everyone you know.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the UK,
East
only the UK. No. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I mean,
Kira.
sincerely, it's awesome. The first cast chat we did, it was poorly prepared and everything, and we had a couple people and answering questions was cool. But today was it's awesome knowing that there are people invested in the story that we're telling and the characters that we've created. So that's cool. Okay, great. So we'll be back again next week. So same time, except earlier on time, and hopefully we won't have technical difficulties.
Same time, an hour earlier.
6:30 p.m. PDT. It will be the first episode of Arc 3, and it's going to open with a banger. It's going to be the first episode that opens with a monologue from me. So
I know what that is.
yeah. So everybody get ready for that. It's going to be super fun, and I'm going to say some stuff that's going to feel bad, probably. Great. So be excited for that. And then tomorrow night, Jonas and I are also going to be on Starfinder. The Dawn of the Flame, and that's GM'd by Krug. Indigo is also on it. Our friend Katie and our friend Alex are on it as well. Did I say everyone? Great. Yeah, and this is going to be awesome. We had our Zero session. You can check that. It's on the QueueTimes main YouTube channel. A Zero session for Starfinder, the Dawn of Flame. And those characters are really exciting. I'm super excited to see where that goes. We had a really creepy moment where someone banged on the window behind us. If you ever find out where we live, don't tell anyone and don't come here. Please.
Yes, please.
Please.
Follow those two rules.
Do not. And then also this Sunday there might not be Uncommon Trust. So it's up in the air. The day before they're doing a 24-hour stream to raise money or something, and which is a really great cause. And if they're going to stream for 24 hours, it's okay that they don't come here to do their 3-hour show. So, but usually on Sundays, Uncommon Trust does noon PDT, and they're cycling GMs and doing a bunch of like kind of wonders and tours and stuff like that, and that's really cool. So check that out. We love having them here, and we just had Poisel on last time, and Poisel is a part of Uncommon Trust. So if you like the way that they role-played for this stream, then go check them out on all their other stuff, and you can find them on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Okay, cool. So we'll see you next week. It's been really great chatting with all of you. Sorry this ran late. Sorry it started late. But hey, it was super worth it. I'm William. I've been the GM for Hijinks and Handlebars. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at KWilliamWhite.
I have been Jonas Newhouse, and I will be playing the legendary and immortal Derry Nazareth for the foreseeable future. You can talk to me about all of that stuff on Twitter at Jonas Newhouse.
I've been Tedward Tank Thompson, playing Sam Richardson. You can find him on Twitter at Laggardson, Laggardson. You can also find more of me on QueueTimes in the Monster of the Week playlist, which we will be doing more of in the next couple of months, so keep an eye out for more of me.
I'm there too.
I will always be Franny, playing Gritty Fox. You can find me on Instagram at just_Franny.
I'm Ben Spencer LaBelle, playing Frankie Fox, legendary but totally mortal. You can find me on Instagram at Splubble, SPLUBBLE, like bubble with the splut. You can also, again, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HandleStream. Yay!
Yeah, go say hello to my friend Reggie California. He's back in control.
Oh! Okay, goodbye everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye!
Bye.
Phoebe loves you.